Beef fat is natural, but it's completely inappropriate for facial skin. Beef tallow oxidizes and creates free radical damage. Here's what's happening at the molecular level. Now let's talk about what's actually driving this trend. Don't rely on someone whose qualifications are a skincare routine and a ring light. I'm gonna tell you exactly why dermatologists are alarmed by the beef tallow skincare trend that's all over TikTok and Instagram right now. And more importantly, what you should be using instead if you wanna actually support your skin barrier without clogging every pore on your face. I'm a board-certified dermatologist. I see patients every day who've tried this because an influencer told them it was ancestral skincare or non-toxic moisturizing. And I'm gonna give you the science on why this trend is problematic for most people's skin. Now, you might be thinking it's just beef fat. It's natural. Our ancestors use it. How bad could it be? And here's what most people don't realize. Natural doesn't mean safe for your face. Beef tallow is one of the most pore clogging substances you can put on facial skin. It oxidizes rapidly and creates free radicals that age your skin faster. And despite what influencers claim, it does not mimic your skin's natural oils. The beef tallow hashtag has over 200 million views on TikTok, and millions of people are putting this on their faces thinking they're doing something healthy. So here's what we're covering. I'm breaking down the 3 specific ways beef tallow damages your skin, the science behind why it doesn't work the way people claim, and what you should actually be using if you want barrier support without breakouts. Let's start with the biggest problem. The first thing you need to know about beef tallow is that it's highly comedogenic, which means it clogs pores. On the comedogenicity scale that dermatologists use, which rates ingredients from 0 to 5, beef tallow rates a 4 to a 5. That's the highest in the category. For comparison, mineral oil is a 0, jojoba oil is a 2, and coconut oil, which already causes breakouts in a lot of people, is a 4. Tallow is as pore clogging as it gets. Here's why that matters. Your pores produce sebum, your skin's natural oil. When you apply a heavy substance like beef tallow on top, you're creating a barrier that traps sebum, dead skin cells, and bacteria inside the pore. That leads to clogged pores, blackheads, whiteheads, closed comedones, and if you're acne prone, it triggers inflammatory breakouts. Even if you don't normally break out, using tallow daily will eventually overwhelm your skin's ability to clear pores, and you'll start seeing congestion. I had a patient last month. She was 28 years old, never had significant acne. She came in with her forehead and chin covered in closed comedones. She'd been using beef tallow for 3 months because an influencer said it would heal her barrier. What actually happened is her pores got completely clogged. We stopped the tallow immediately and switched her to a non-comedogenic moisturizer with ceramides and used a retinoid to clear the buildup. It took 8 weeks to get her skin back to baseline, but she was so grateful. Here's the lesson. Beef fat is natural, but it's completely inappropriate for facial skin. The smarter path is using a moisturizer formulated for faces with ingredients like ceramides, hyaluronic acid, and niacinamide that support your barrier without clogging pores, not rendered animal fat. Now that you know it clogs pores, here's the second problem. It doesn't actually work the way people claim. The second claim you hear constantly is that beef tallow mimics your skin's natural sebum, so it's supposedly the perfect moisturizer. On the surface, that sounds logical. It's animal fat. We're animals. Maybe it matches our skin's chemistry. But here's the reality. Human sebum and beef tallow have completely different fatty acid compositions. Human sebum is about 40% triglycerides, 25% wax esters, 15% squalane, and the rest is free fatty acids and cholesterol. It's a complex mixture designed to lubricate your skin, regulate moisture, and provide antimicrobial protection. Beef tallow is primarily saturated fats, about 50% palmitic and stearic acid. These are heavy fats that sit on top of your skin as an occlusive barrier. They don't absorb well, they don't replicate sebum's functions, and they don't provide the skin barrier support your natural oils do. I've had patients tell me they started using tallow for dry skin, thinking it would hydrate better than regular moisturizers. What they found is that it feels greasy and heavy and sits on the surface and doesn't actually relieve the tightness or flaking they were trying to fix. That's because tallow is an occlusive. It prevents water loss, but it's not a humectant, which actually draws in moisture and into your skin. If your skin is dehydrated, tallow isn't solving the problem. You're still dry underneath that greasy layer. Here's the reframe. If you want to support your skin barrier, you don't need something that mimics sebum. You need skin identical ingredients. That means ceramides, which are the lipids that actually make up your barrier. It means cholesterol and free fatty acids in the right ratios. And it means humectants like hyaluronic acid that pull moisture in, not just trap whatever's there. CeraVe Moisturizing Cream and Neutrogena Hydro Boost do this effectively without clogging pores. That's the smarter approach. So tallow doesn't mimic sebum and it clogs pores, but there's a third problem that's even more concerning. Beef tallow oxidizes and creates free radical damage. The third issue is that beef tallow oxidizes. Animal fats break down when exposed to air, light, and heat. And when fats oxidize, they generate free radicals, unstable molecules that damage your skin cells, break down collagen, and accelerate aging. So the very thing people are using to nourish their skin is potentially causing oxidative stress that ages skin faster. Here's what's happening at the molecular level. Beef tallow contains unsaturated fatty acids that are vulnerable to oxidation. When you open a jar of tallow and leave it on your bathroom counter, especially in a clear jar exposed to light, those fatty acids start reacting with oxygen. The tallow goes rancid. You can sometimes smell it, a slightly off, greasy smell, but before you even smell it, oxidation has started. And when you apply oxidized fat to your skin, you're introducing free radicals directly to your barrier. Free radicals damage cell membranes, degrade collagen and elastin, and trigger inflammation. That is the opposite of anti-aging skincare. I had a patient who'd been making homemade tallow balm, rendered it herself, kept it in her bathroom. After 6 weeks, her skin got red and irritated around her nose and cheeks. She thought it was an allergic reaction to something else, but when I asked about her routine and she mentioned the tallow, I told her to smell it. It had gone rancid. She didn't even realize it. That rancid fat had been on her face for weeks, and her skin was reacting to the oxidative byproducts. We stopped the tallow, used a gentle antioxidant serum and proper moisturizer, and her irritation cleared within 2 weeks. Here's the takeaway. Even fresh tallow oxidizes over time unless heavily preserved. And most people making or buying tallow skincare avoid preservatives because they want it to be clean or natural. That's a recipe for a rancid product on your face. The smarter move is using skincare with stable antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin E, and niacinamide, ingredients that fight free radicals instead of generating them. So we've covered why tallow clogs pores, doesn't mimic sebum, and oxidizes. Now let's talk about what's actually driving this trend. Here's what I think is really happening with the beef tallow trend. It's not about the tallow. It's about cultural distrust of conventional skincare and the idea that natural automatically equals better and safer. People hear clean beauty and ancestral skincare and assume that means science-backed, when those are marketing terms with no regulatory definition. The wellness industry has spent the last decade convincing people that anything made in a lab is toxic and anything natural is pure and healing. I get the appeal. There's something comforting about using simple ingredients like beef fat instead of a cream with 30 ingredients you can't pronounce. But here's the reality. Dermatology is a science. Your skin has specific needs at the molecular level, and meeting those needs requires ingredients that have been researched, tested, and formulated correctly. Beef tallow has not been studied for facial skincare. There are 0 peer-reviewed trials showing it improves acne, eczema, or even aging. The evidence is anecdotal, influencer testimonials, not clinical data. I've had patients say, but my grandmother used lard and had great skin. Well, maybe that's true, but your grandmother didn't have access to ceramide moisturizers or niacinamide serums or retinoids. She used what was available. We now have better options designed for skin, tested for safety, formulated to not clog pores or oxidize. Using tallow in 2026 isn't going back to lost wisdom. It's ignoring decades of dermatological research because an influencer made it sound romantic. Here's the reframe. You don't have to choose between natural and effective. There are ingredients derived from natural sources with actual science behind them. Squalane is from olives or sugarcane. It's non-comedogenic, and it actually mimics a lipid in human sebum. Niacinamide is vitamin B3, studied in hundreds of trials, strengthens barrier without clogging pores. Ceramides are identical to lipids in your barrier and proven to repair dry skin. Those are what you should be looking for, not beef fat. Now let me give you the actual alternatives that work. If you've been using tallow or you've been tempted, here's what to use instead. The goal is the same: support your barrier, prevent moisture loss, keep skin healthy. But the ingredients that do that without clogging pores or oxidizing are ceramides, squalane, niacinamide, and hyaluronic acid. Ceramides make up about 50% of your skin barrier. When your barrier is damaged, you lose ceramides and your skin becomes dry, sensitive, and irritated. Replacing them with topicals repairs the barrier at the molecular level. Squalane is naturally in human sebum. Plant-derived squalane is chemically identical, so it integrates without clogging pores. Niacinamide supports ceramide production, reduces inflammation, and strengthens the skin barrier. Hyaluronic acid holds 1,000 times its weight in water, so it hydrates instead of sitting on top. The product I recommend most for barrier repair is CeraVe Moisturizing Cream, the tub. It has ceramides 1, 3, and 6, plus hyaluronic acid and cholesterol in the ratio your skin needs. It's non-comedogenic, it's fragrance-free, and it's under $20. I also love the Ordinary Squalane for something ultra-light, 100% plant-derived. It's $8 and it absorbs instantly. And if you want something more medical grade or sophisticated, Elastin Restorative Skin Complex combines peptides with antioxidants for barrier repair and collagen remodeling. That's about $195, but it's one of the most advanced barrier products available. Here's the protocol. If you've been using tallow and your skin is broken out or irritated, stop immediately. Cleanse gently with CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser. Apply a non-comedogenic moisturizer with ceramides. Give your skin 4 weeks to clear and repair. If you're dealing with clogged pores, add a retinoid like Differin, which is over the counter, to speed cell turnover. If you just want barrier support going forward, use a ceramide moisturizer daily and squalane if you need extra hydration. That's the science-backed approach. There's one more thing I need to address: who you're getting skincare advice from. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people promoting beef tallow on social media are not dermatologists. They're wellness influencers, lifestyle creators, or people selling tallow products. And while many genuinely believe in what they recommend, belief is not evidence. Skincare is medicine. Your skin is an organ. Treating it based on anecdotal advice from someone with no medical training is a gamble that doesn't pay off. Dermatologists spend 4 years in medical school, 4 years in residency, and often an additional year or 2 in fellowship training, learning how skin works at the cellular and clinical level. We study pathophysiology, pharmacology, and evidence-based research. When I recommend a product, it's because I've reviewed the research, seen the clinical outcomes, and know the safety profile. Influencers recommend based on personal experience or brand partnerships. That's not the same standard. I can't tell you how many patients I've seen who've damaged their skin following influencer advice. Beef tallow, DIY vitamin C that's too acidic, over exfoliation routines, essential oils causing burns, real injuries requiring real treatment. Almost every time the patient said, "But she said it worked for her." That's the problem. Skincare isn't a one-size-fits-all. What works for oily skin might destroy dry, sensitive skin. A dermatologist can assess your specific skin type, concerns, history, and give personalized recommendations. An influencer simply cannot. Here's my advice. If you see a skincare trend on TikTok or Instagram, don't assume it's safe just because it's popular. Check for scientific evidence. Look for board-certified dermatologists creating educational content explaining mechanisms. If you're dealing with acne, rosacea, eczema, melasma, see a dermatologist in person or via telemedicine. Don't rely on someone whose qualifications are a skincare routine and a ring light. Your skin deserves better. So that's the full picture. Tallow clogs pores, doesn't mimic sebum, oxidizes and creates free radical damage, and it's promoted by people without training to give safe skincare advice. You don't have to fall for it. You have better options. So here's what I want you to take away. Beef tallow is highly comedogenic, doesn't match your skin's oil composition, and oxidizes rapidly, causing free radical damage. The smarter alternatives are ceramide-based moisturizers like CeraVe, plant-derived squalane, and niacinamide serums, ingredients that actually repair your barrier without clogging your pores or aging your skin faster. And get your skincare advice from board-certified dermatologists who understand skin biology, not influencers making it sound romantic. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you someone who tried tallow and regretted it? Or were you tempted to and this video stopped you? Drop it in the comments below. I want to hear your experience. And if this video was helpful for you, please make sure to share it with a friend or colleague. Thanks for watching.